Hey guys, Laura Longo here. How's everybody doing today? In this edition of Laura Longo Live, we're going to talk about my recent trip, family vacation to Walt Disney World and how that applies to... Your what? Your glass?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. Oh yeah, I cleaned it up. Okay, so that's what happens, right? So I don't know if it's ever going to get easier. I still get so nervous for these videos. I know, I say so a lot. He's picked that up too. So, all right, everybody. So what I'm going to talk about today is some common lessons that kept popping up for me while I was out at Disney World and how that can apply to your business. And so this is going to be a powerful live video today. So if you have any teammates that you might want to see this message, feel free to share it. Feel free to tag them in the comments. It's going to be super powerful. So when you come on, say who you are, where you're watching from. Let me know when the last time you visited Disney World, if you've ever been there. If you've ever been there, Disney World, Disneyland, drop a 1 in the comments. Or if you're planning on going, let me know. We just got back. It was an amazing, amazing experience. This is the third time we brought the kids there, and like every time we go, it's just like this huge, magical place to be. It's just a really incredible experience. So, but when you're out there and you're going through, like what we go through as network marketers, we're going through like this constant personal growth. We're constantly developing, doing self-development, and I like to call it self-empowerment. And a lot of the lessons that you learn out there, they just keep popping up. They're very prevalent in a lot of the movies, the books, the messages that Disney puts out are very parallel. They run parallel to a lot of the lessons that we're learning in this self-development. And in actuality, when I look back as a child, I think of, a lot of the morals that I learned and a lot of the integrity, a lot of it came from messages that I read in Disney books growing up. So, it's been a really powerful part of my life, and I'm sure many of our lives just, basically forever. And what are some of those lessons? Sometimes the easiest path isn't the right path, right? Just believe in yourself. Learn from past mistakes, learn from the past. How about let it go? How many have listened to this song 5,465 times? If you listen to the words of the song, it's loaded with messages that you can easily apply to your life and your business, okay? And these are all amazing, and you could probably do a Facebook Live analyzing each one of these. But today, what I really want to focus on is Walt Disney himself, his experiences. So how many of you out there how many of you knew that Walt Disney was considered to be a failure before he created this empire? If you knew that already, just drop a 2 in the comments below. He was actually rejected 300 plus times by bankers who thought his ideas were absurd. I mean, think of it though. I mean, he's going and he's pitching a talking mouse and Goofy, right? But what did Walt Disney have? What did he have? He had faith. He had belief. Okay, he had enthusiasm, passion. Everyone thought he had lost his mind. So Walt Disney fails in a few different businesses, and in fact, prior to even being rejected 300 plus times by these banks, he was fired. He was fired by a newspaper. Does anybody here know why? Why was Walt Disney fired from a newspaper? Does anybody know? I'm curious. If you do know, just shout it in the comments. There's a little bit of a lag here, so I don't know that I'll see it right away, but yeah, so why was Walt Disney fired from his job at a newspaper? Can you even imagine? Lack of creativity. Lack of creativity. So if that doesn't tell you that one of the world's biggest creative geniuses to ever live was fired for lack of creativity, if that doesn't show you to not put a whole lot of stock in what other people think of you, then I don't know what else possibly could, right? So what's funny and what's ironic about this is actually in 1996 when Disney acquired ABC, it actually inherited the newspaper that Walt Disney was fired from way back when. So it was kind of ironic there. So again, what did Walt Disney have? Unshakable persistence, unwavering belief, and a crystal clear vision. And it was a vision that back then only he could see, right? So when Disneyland was in its planning stages, he had brought his friend Art Linkletter out to see the land. And now imagine, it's like this vast space, cow pastures, orange groves, and it's a distance from LA. So Art thinks it's like a totally ridiculous idea to build these merry-go-rounds out in the middle of nowhere, right? Out in this cow pasture. That's his business decision, which may make sense for a lot of people, locations, everything, right? So they walk around the property, and as they walk, Walt is describing to Art Linkletter his vivid and detailed vision, okay? He's explaining his visions for Adventureland, Fantasyland, Tomorrowland, and so on, right? And he's explaining it in vivid, crystal clear detail. Now, he goes on to encourage Art Linkletter to purchase the land around the property so that he can later on sell it to developers, right? But Linkletter couldn't see Disney's vision. So he says no. Can you imagine? Could you imagine that? So later, Art Linkletter goes on to explain that because of his inability to see Walt Disney's vision, because he wasn't open, he estimated that every single step that he later made on Disney's property would have been worth to him $3 million per step. $3 million per step if he had been open. Let that sink in. So Walt Disney, he passes in 1966, right? And that's about 5 years before Walt Disney World in Florida is created, is finished, is a reality. And when it opened, a visitor in the park is talking to the creative director there, and his name is Mike Vance, and he's talking about, it's too bad that Walt Disney didn't live to see it. And what did Mike Vance respond? He said, "Oh, but he did see it. That's why it's here." Oh, but he did see it. That's why it's here. Ooh, chills. That's the power of a vision. That's the power that we have when we create a vision. So what are the key lessons that we can take away from Walt Disney and his massive empire? Number one, the importance, the power of a crystal clear vision. What do you want? What is it that you want? Crystal clear. The importance of visualizing that. Whether it's your life, your business, your sport, visualizing that, right? To think the thoughts, to feel the feelings, to feel it. What it's going to feel like when that comes to fruition. Feel that. This actually goes hand in hand this really nicely with the latest blog I put out on my blog. It's about vision. So if you want to check that out, you can check that out at lauralongo.com/blog if you'd like. What is the second key component of this? Key lesson. That rejection and failure is part of the process. It's part of success. So embrace it. Are you willing to fight for it? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to make your vision a reality? Simon Sinek says, don't quit. Never give up trying to build the world that only you can see, even if others can't see it. Listen to your drum and your drum only. Gosh, can you imagine? Can you imagine if Disney had listened to the critics? What if he had been so depressed or so disheartened after the 10th no, after the 100th no, after the 250th no? What if he just gave up? After 300 no's, what if he just gave up? Can you imagine the perseverance that was required to keep moving forward when everyone thought he was nuts? Gosh, there'd be no Disney World. There'd be no massive empire that brings joy to millions of families every single day. I wouldn't be doing this Facebook Live video because Luke wouldn't be watching Mickey and the Roadster Racers. My house wouldn't be filled with stuffed animals everywhere. Guys, there'd be no happiest place on earth if he gave up. Walt Disney had an intuitive power that brought his vision to reality. It brought it into being. How many of us have flashes of this intuition that we ignore, or that we don't trust, or that we keep silent because we're afraid of being judged, because we're afraid of what other people are going to think, that we're afraid to fail, or maybe even we're afraid to succeed, and what that means. So as network marketers, in the United States, network marketers get a lot of flack. There seems to be a stigma around this profession, and it's not everywhere. In many, many countries, network marketing is business like anywhere else, like any other business, right? But in the United States, there seems to be this stigma, even though I feel like it's getting much, much better. But if you enter into this profession, you have to have thick skin. You have to be willing to take the heat. You have to be willing to hold your vision even when no one else sees it. When people tell you that it's never going to work. When people think you've actually lost your mind. So my amazing mentor, he reminds me of my amazing mentor, Jimmy Smith. He is a top lifetime earner in his company, one of the top in the industry. He worked as a butcher for over 40 years in a suburb of Philadelphia. And he was relieved of his position and entered into network marketing. And he was so passionate. And he had this crystal clear vision of what he wanted. And if you've ever met him, he is probably the most grateful man I've ever met. So grateful, heart of service, heart of pure gold, okay? At one point, his wife wanted to have him committed. Everyone thought he lost his mind, but he saw the vision and he went on to amass almost somewhere around $50 million in his current company. So guys, on that note, have faith, believe in yourself, believe in your dreams. Guys, this is our one shot. This is our one shot to live out what we want, to live out our dreams. This is our chance. This is it. Believe in your dreams. If the people around you don't think that you've totally lost your mind yet, then maybe you need to reevaluate how bad you want it. If you love this message, share it, tag a teammate. If you like this kind of content, I have a ton of free training over at my blog, lauralongo.com. You get free access to trainings just like this. So I'm going to end with a quote by Walt Disney that I had recently posted on my Facebook wall earlier today. If you'd like to check that out, you can scroll on back after this is over. But it says, all of the adversity I've had in my life, all the troubles and the obstacles have strengthened me. You may not realize it when it happens, but a kick in the teeth might be the best thing in the world for you. Has anyone ever felt that way? Have a magical day, loves.